It's like we've been caught up in some sort of long Emmaus Road journey, don't you think? We've had to leave the exciting normality of everyday life that hardly seemed exciting at the time, and we've been walking, stumbling along this road, a road that has the familiar trappings of shops and restaurants and pubs and people and activities, but they seem far distant, trapped in a place as if trapped in some sort of ghost town of abandonment. Our walking is punctuated at times with conversations on the way as we step off the curb to allow another to pass, and a mumbled "thank you" is what we receive back. And "it's okay," which might also contain a smile, only of course we can't see it because of that mask. We stop in delight in the high street. We recognise a face half hidden behind a mask of varying hues. "How are you?" we ask. "Well, you know," is so often the reply we get. And we've journeyed on for months, and we had hoped, like those disciples, we had hoped that this would be short-lived. We had hoped our jobs would be protected. We had hoped our families would be the ones to avoid this virus. We had hoped that holidays would be more than dates marked out in a diary. We had hoped that the numbers offered would be exaggerated. We had hoped it would go away, just go away. We had hoped that relationships would be restored and all would be well. We too had hoped. Our journey is not so far from that of the disciples on that road, where their hopes are dashed and their fears are raised. What had become a familiar, if amazing, landscape of miracles and teachings and life lessons had simply gone. And even though there'd been glimpses of his light, they had hoped it would be different, and this day would never have come. Like those disciples, perhaps we too haven't been aware enough of the Messiah walking this pandemic road with us. Perhaps we too have failed to be willing to see him around those crowded ICU beds, weeping along with everyone else. We haven't seen him in the exhausted care staff serving people in spite of their fear for their own families. We haven't seen him in the increasing number of ordinary cars and frantic faces of people who are now delivering Amazon packages in an attempt to keep body and soul together. We haven't seen him in the scant funeral gatherings of restricted mourning. We haven't seen him in our own sleepless nights and often hidden, stifled cries. We have not felt him holding us in those overwhelming episodes of fear and depression. We too had hoped it would be so different. We prayed it would be so different, that it would simply go away. We have argued how it could have been so different if governments and scientists and if anybody, rather than us, had done things differently at the start. We had hoped, but it was all so painful, but we had hoped. We've always had the possibility of hope, the reality of hope even, for Jesus is the hope of the world. It's only him, and he is with us always. He's been with there all the time. He's never really left us. How could he? His love for his broken world was displayed on that cross in Calvary and in an empty tomb, and now on the Emmaus Road in the breaking of bread. And he's now with us sitting around the kitchen table at breakfast time. That hope there is in all those food banks as well as on those empty roads into town. We too just need to allow our hearts to be strangely warmed within us again by his Spirit. Because no, hope has never, ever died.